Hi everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Delighted on this episode to be talking with someone who I believe currently has a Kickstarter underway out in the world of comics and such things. Is that true?
Well, we're getting ready to drop one for Insectakid 4.
Great, great,
Has not dropped yet, but should be dropping in the next week or so.
great, great. And that creator is Michael K. Easton. So you mentioned Insectakid. You also have The Impossible Family. Uh, Burt and Woodward's Last Adventure. So you've done a good amount of creating in the world of comics.
We're a nifty little imprint that tries to like broaden the horizons on storytelling. So we kind of a hodgepodge mix of titles.
Yeah, yeah. What brought you to this way of storytelling? What brought you to comics and sharing stories in this way?
Well, gosh, comics, I've been in love with them since I was a little kid. I think it goes back to fourth grade, seeing collection of comics. It was actually, I think it was Avenger book, maybe.
Hmm.
But anyway, regardless, I've always been in love with comics. They have kind of been my safe space growing up. They were my moral compass of learning the what is the right thing to do versus the wrong thing to do. I've always kind of been in love with the idea of what it takes to be a hero and rise above and take the right path instead of taking the easy way out.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Those are all parts of the comics narrative that I vibe with as well. And I also really enjoy the style that you bring. That there's an element of cartooniness kind of to it, and colorfulness as well. Um, so curious about the kinds of stories that you're drawn to tell.
Well, it's funny because you had mentioned my style. Every book that I tend to work on, my style seems to change depending on the story at hand.
Hmm.
Like recently, we had did the Mothman Festival, and so we have a book called The Moth based around what we believe actually happened, or that at least that's what we say. And so for that style, it's a much darker book. So I went from much more detailed, heavy darks, blacks,
Hmm.
inks, as much detail as possible. Whereas, say something that is like the Insectakid, that's much more lighthearted and fun, I go for a much animated, looser style,
Yeah.
and then like take it back with the Impossible Family. It's kind of a little bit in between. So I honestly wish I could nail down one style and stick to it. But it's funny, my cohort, Jordan Lowe, he's the writer on a lot of our books. And we're the co-owners of So Pro Comics. So everything we do is pretty much 50-50. And it's funny because every book we come up with to start, I'm always like, well, I have an idea of the style I'm going to do. He's like, well, of course you're not going to use the same style.
That's cool though. That's cool. I like that, and a lot of creators that I have on here tend to work across different types of stories, which is it's something that I appreciate, and I appreciate all that you can do and you can kind of bring to comics as well.
And one thing that's interesting that I find is that luckily my wife is the colorist, Christy Easton. She colors the majority of our books. And the way that I work, like Insectakid, I write where I actually draw out the whole storyline first, and then I'll go back and do the script. Where Jordan Lowe, he'll write the full script, and then I interpret it. And she always like comes back to me, and she's like, what is going on here? Because you do not have a script for me to look off of to see what this is."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was going to ask about some of the folks in kind of the process and the industry that have been positive. So it sounds like Jordan is right there by your side. Christy is right there by your side. Any other creative connections that you want to shout out?
Definitely Michael Tyler. He does a lot of our variant cover arts. And it's kind of funny with Insectakid, it started with Spider-Man #1, the Todd McFarlane cover.
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
did a Manch too, and so it just kind of worked out. Every issue since then has been a riff off of Spider-Man cover, and his level, like, it's funny because this is a gentleman that I have known for over 20 years, but I've never met him in person. It's all been online. And we have just reconnected in the last 6 or 7 years, and I mean he's been a godsend because the level of detail that he puts into the work is like, me, I find it like, why are you doing this for us? You should be working on a major publisher.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, good to find strong collaborators. Anything that you want to share with listeners about SoPro Comics, the visions, the creative vision ahead, or Insectakid as well, since it's the currently a just almost underway Kickstarter.
Well, with Super Comics, it's kind of a joke of our title for our company. Um, Back, like, me and Jordan Lowe, we've been working on comics for too many years to count, and we would go to conventions, and we wouldn't know if it was a good convention or a bad convention. And but when you would try to like get feedback from other people, they'd always be like, "Oh yeah, that was great." And I was like, if it was great and we did horrible, are they just blowing smoke or was it a really good show?
Hmm.
So we actually, that kind of birthed our imprint of So Pro Comics of, oh, look at us, we're so pro. And it's really just a tongue-in-cheek joke of, we're having fun and we're enjoying it, and don't take it too serious. Just enjoy what you're doing.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
if you're not having fun and loving what you're doing, why are you doing it in the first place? And that's kind of our rule of thumb as we progress with our different titles. And feel like I lost what the question was.
Oh yeah, no worries. I was just asking about SoPro, the creative vision, and I was also gonna mention Insectakid again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's one thing that's great. Like, the we try to keep the collaboration and the, I guess, the hands in the pot like to bare minimum so that we can produce a work on a timely manner.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we're being an indie label. We're not able to afford prices that, other labels are able to do. So a lot of our work is done in-house. But I do find with working with too many creators at once, it it's kind of a hard thing to keep together. So the what am I trying to say here? Least amount of people working on a title, the more possibility it's going to get finished and out there, if that makes any sense.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But as far as our vision goes, we're getting ready to drop Insectakid 4 here in next week or so. This is the continuing adventure of Hakeem Hudson. He is a 17-year-old barista in Hudson, Ohio, that finds out that reptilians do exist and they may be the owner of the coffee shop that he works at. And guess what? He was a weapon created to destroy all reptilians. so so he's got to navigate that and figure out the rest of his life while this strange sidekick pops up named Ronald P. Tramp. That is this redneck, backwards, crazy reptilian conspiracy thinking nut job that I really enjoy writing. Like, every time that I'm writing that character dialogue, I chuckle to myself, and my wife's like, "Well, you do laugh at your own jokes."
There it is. There it is. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you, as you said, if you're not having fun at it, then what's the point?
Right. I mean, and art's so subjective to interpretations by other people. Like, comics is such a weird medium because you take so long to produce this volume of work to get that out there into the world, and very seldom do you actually get feedback. Like you, with the moth book that we did, it is nearly sold out. And that is actually our first title where we've had feedback on when people have come back and been like, oh, I really love this book. When's the next issue coming out? And it's very strange because it's like you put all this art out into the world and you never know who's going and end up seeing it in the long run.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, and that's, I mean, you're putting something out there in the creative kind of history too. So, uh, comics haven't been around that long, but it's great to see independent creations and other companies and creators coming in and adding to the stories that are already out there for people to choose from. By means of a final question, unless we've missed anything that you want to make sure to share, curious about where people can go to support the Kickstarter and curious about where people can go to learn more about SoPro.
One thing I did want to add is I
Hmm.
wanted to mention another gentleman that's come on board is Aaron Wolf. He is the new artist for Burton Woodrow's last adventure. He's very hard at work on issue 2 right now, and he brings a style and energy to it that I think is a very sweet addition.
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
had just recently did a variant cover for issue 1 that was a homage to the Cujo movie poster,
Nice.
and we did it up to make it look like a VHS cover, like from the old days of maybe when you and I were young and had to
Hmm.
actually go to a rental video store.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But what was the question again? I'm sorry.
No, no, you're fine. The web spaces where people
Oh,
can connect and
you can pretty much find us all over the internet. We you have all our books are on sale at www.soprocomics.com. We actually have our whole entire library for free to read at Global Comics, under SoPro Comics as well. Being an indie publisher, we feel like we want our comics to be enjoyed. So the more people that read them, I feel in the long run that's better for us.
hmm.
So
Hmm.
that way, like if you go online on Global Comics, you can read our comics. If you like it, maybe you'll be interested in purchasing the title.
Yeah, yeah,
And
very
of course,
cool.
we're also on Facebook. We no longer do anything with the tweets. So I hear a lot of people have joined that crowd.
Yes, yeah, that seems to definitely be a trend. Yes, for sure.
and, and and we're slowly making our way onto TikTok and some other platforms, but I would say the majority is on Instagram and Facebook as far as social media goes. And we try to post regularly on theirs with sneak peeks and updates and trying to get as much information out there as possible.
Cool, cool. Well, Michael, thank you for the time. Thank you for the work and for adding to comics and sharing creativity. And glad to have you back anytime as Kickstarters are coming and new projects come to be.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.